Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Ed Talk. I'm Jeremy Brooks, thrilled to guide you through another thought-provoking journey into the heart of educational innovation. Today, we're diving into a topic that is as colorful as it is crucial: art education.
Welcome to the Ed Talk with your host, Jeremy Brooks. At the Ed Talk, we are uniting education's top thinkers and leaders. The Ed Talk is America's true education talk show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is the Ed Talk. I'm Jeremy Brooks, your conductor on this extraordinary journey into the vibrant universe of art education. We have a special guest with us on today's episode who's an incredible art educator, John Klaiber. Hello, John.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on your Ed Talks podcast.
Today, we're not just talking about art education. We're celebrating the symphony of creativity that resonates through every medium, from the one swish of a paintbrush to the echo of a piano note, from the spin of a potter's wheel to the chisel on stone. Today's episode is titled again, The Renaissance Classroom. Why our students need art more than ever. Why Renaissance? Because much like the Renaissance period that redefined the cultural and intellectual life of Europe, today's art education is poised to transform our educational systems into incubators of curiosity, creativity, and innovation. We're here to explore how art isn't just about painting a picture or molding a pot. It's about painting the future of education and molding the minds that will lead tomorrow. Imagine a classroom where creativity is not an elective, but a staple, where every student has the tools to not just succeed academically, but to thrive as innovative thinkers and empathetic citizens. That's the classroom we as educators need as we face the complex challenges of the 21st century. Do me a favor, picture this. You step into a classroom, but it's unlike any you've seen before. Here, music flows through the air like a melody from Mozart, guiding students to their own rhythm of discovery. Over there, a group of students gathered around a wheel, their hands muddy, eyes sparkling as they shape clay into what might be the next priceless vase or whimsical little pot. And in the corner, there's a young sculptor, chisel in hand, transforming a block of marble into something that expresses more emotion than words could ever capture. This place, my friends, it's a laboratory of imagination where every student is both a scientist and an artist, experimenting with materials that span the spectrum of expression. Why do we bring music, pottery, sculpture, painting into our classrooms? Because art teaches resilience. Every misshapen pot, every off-key note is a step towards mastery. It teaches problem solving. It challenges our youth to think differently, to see mistakes as opportunities for innovation. But here's the kicker. Art also teaches empathy. Through the arts, students learn to connect with perspectives beyond their own experiences. A melody can evoke emotions that words cannot. A sculpture can tell a story of cultural heritage and historical struggles. Art, it connects us to our humanity. And yet too many schools today, these essential programs are dwindling. It's up to us, educators, parents, community leaders, to ensure that these tools are not lost, to ensure that our children's education includes not only the rigor of academics, but the joy and profound impact of the arts. So let's champion a new era in education. Let's make music rooms as common as computer labs. Let's put artist palettes alongside the scientist speaker. Let's ensure every child has the chance to dance, to sculpt, to paint, and to play. Because when we cultivate the artists in our schools, we're not just teaching them to make art, we're teaching them to make a difference. Stay with us as we dive deeper with one of the most creative minds in the field, sharing how they're sculpting brighter futures through art. This is the Ed Talk. Meet John Klaiber. He's a multifaceted artist, a devoted educator whose creative expressions span ceramics, music, digital mediums, and more. John is not only an artist, but he's also a passionate high school teacher in the visual and performing arts department. He inspires young minds through his roles. John earned a master's of fine arts at Sacramento State, where his work was featured in a studio art exhibition. His artist portfolio is diverse, encompassing large ceramic sculptures, engaging digital compositions, and explorative video projects. John also extends his creative talents to the music world. John, welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us here.
Wow, Jeremy. Hey, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for those kind and I think wholehearted words about not just me, but also like creativity in general and its role in living a fuller life. Um, but yeah, I appreciate having me on the show and getting this opportunity to work with you to help expand all these good things for the future and for our present generation.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, I'm so happy to have you with us. So you're a musician. How does that influence your teaching style? If it does, how does it influence your teaching style, being a musician? And, in your ceramics class, in your video production classes, does it influence your teaching?
For sure, it does. We have instruments in the classroom. I let students play. I know that there's, for me, creative styles, I'll call them, like they're kind of all the same. They do the same thing in my brain. They get the juices flowing. They're, of course, working with ceramics hits different buttons for me and makes me feel different ways. It does different things. I have, than music does, but music is very immediate. It's something that people can enjoy. I think that the way, and they say that even in the universe, like all things are made of vibration. So, all things, there's certain things that harmonize like all of space and time. And one of those is vibration. So when you play an instrument, you're basically, reflecting upon that harmony. I think that it can be, beneficial in all ways. And, I mean, in art studios, almost always there's music that's being played. I try to, encourage my students to play instruments, learn instruments. Half the time they're better than I am. But
That's
what I
amazing.
usually, yeah, it is. But there's,
Folks, he's good.
uh,
That says a lot.
there's things I'm good at, and then there's things where like I'm not that skilled at. But like one of the things that people tell me is that I'm good at like freedom. Like I'm able to go into something and really not care if I'm gonna fail or not. Like I'll just run in. I'll jump on stage. I'll do things if I have a plan or not. And lots of times it works out. Lots of times it doesn't. But that's the thing too. Like you're saying, it's like having that courage to go in and each step is you're learning how to do things better and you're gaining confidence. So I mean, I think music is a wonderful part of really any class if you can incorporate music.
Yeah, and you mentioned just kind of being brave and not worrying about the mistakes, and it actually kind of reminds me of one of my favorite genres of music, jazz, which is a type of music that's really based on improv, right? And everybody sort of has their own maybe chords or certain pieces of rhythm or techniques or a certain tempo for things that they're working on, but they sort of come together and then it should be this organic sort of process where, you don't worry about the mistakes. You just kind of work them out.
Yeah. Well, and those guys half the time are very well trained. And I'll just use this reference from ceramics. It's called wabi sabi. So wabi sabi is one of the most highly revered types of ceramics in Japanese culture, which is like pretty close to like the if it's not the absolute roots of ceramics, it's like right there in amongst those worldwide roots. And what they say about the wabi sabi artist is that like wabi sabi is like it's the level that the highest level master that studies their entire life and creates and is able to flow like the breeze through the leaves and all this different things. He can whoever it is, this person can do all kinds of stuff. Or it's the absolute beginner who just doesn't know the difference. They get in and they can flow and they can create that same level, and it's able to that's wabi sabi, where it's something that can be attained by the newest of the new and the most schooled of the most schooled.
I love it. And also just kind of circling back to that question about the type of classroom, and you mentioned some of this too. But here's one of the things I was thinking too, is it just, music, it teaches us so much. So that's why it can be incorporated, right? Into maybe, into the fine arts, because it teaches us rhythm, it teaches timing, it teaches emotion. Those are all crucial parts of visual arts too, right? It can also bring a sense of rhythm into the classroom. One of the great things about, music in the classroom or in an art studio is it can kind of help students maybe find a sort of a flow in their art creation, whether they're like molding clay or editing a video. What are your thoughts on that?
Art and music seem to go very well together. Artists and musicians, poets, creative type people, they always seem to gravitate to each other. And the person will the painter, and lots of times they are the same. Like you look at Basquiat. Basquiat was first in an avant-garde band where he was doing improv music. They had no plan. They're called Gray. And like he broke all the rules, and he
Yeah.
was very successful in his lifetime, which was great. He died young, didn't maybe have the, it is what it is, people's lives, but he, that was something that he had a lot of, you look at David Bowie, he's in movies. I don't know what all he has done, but David Bowie has like a vast life, that goes far beyond his extremely successful music career. Steve Martin is a comedian. He is, I think, but he's like, I think the biggest art collector that there is in this nation. Like
No way.
Oh yeah,
I did not know that.
And he plays. Have you heard about his bluegrass band?
He plays the banjo. Had a bluegrass band, right? And actually, I think they came through the local area, him and his band. But I had no idea that he collected that much art.
He's supposed to be like the top collector. If not the top collector, he's one of the top collectors in our nation, and he's extremely and that's the thing too. It's like comedy. They say if you can, I think it was maybe the Egyptian people. I don't exactly know who first said this, but they like when you die, they would weigh your heart, and they say like it's preferable to die with a light heart than a heavy heart. And music, comedy, different forms of artwork, they can help you to lighten that load, and they give you an avenue to say the things that you can't always say. Poetry, mathematics can be like that too. Mathematics, I never thought about mathematics as something can be like poetic at all, but they absolutely are. I mean, this band works because of math. Our Zoom is because of math. Everything, this painting back here makes sense because of math and vibrations. Like colors vibrate. Like my shirt is like this. Like this Cougar Recap writing is somehow vibrating on that level of the Cougar Recap. So yeah, I like to play.
I love it. I love it. But I wanted to ask you, what role do you think technology plays in art education today?
Oh,
And
yeah.
and again, like, how do you incorporate it into your classes? I mean, it's incredible how much opportunity there can be for tech in art. And again, you just kind of talked about it a little bit with that performance, but yeah, what role does it play?
I came back. I have a unique perspective because I was going to school before all this kind of technology stuff. When I was first going to college, it was like 2000, like we were barely having AOL and stuff back in those days and
Yeah.
MySpace. And then I come back, everything is online. I have students that are like, why do we have to turn in photographs of our work? Like for one, now I have this digital record of your work, and you also have this digital record of your work. So like I'm my final project for this term this semester, but I want the students to reach back to some of their first works that they turned in the term, in January, and see where they're at now, because they were absolute beginners with clay then. And now, because we're on the block schedule, this is our second semester, and I consider the second semester to no longer be intro; it is intermediate. And I got kids that are building insane stuff, awesome stuff. Um, and so but
Can you
because they
tell
have
us?
that digital ability, they can just hear it right here, and they can do a talk about it. These kids are growing up with these devices. They understand them in a way that I don't. But at the same time, there's things that I know that they have no clue about. And a lot of that is the philosophy. Like, it does come from here. Like, something, Jeremy, that you were saying about it was about music, or it was about art or something like that. What I tell students, especially with music, because if you want to learn how to play music, first love it here. Play a song that you really love. These things will touch you in a different way. They will capture you and grab you in a way that other things in life maybe won't, or they'll tune in with things. And so if you want to learn to play music, you start with a song that you really love. Is my view. And then because then you already have it in here, it exists. But if students have never heard music before and you're trying to explain that, and so that's how it is with clay or some of these other things. She made a last term, she was in my intro to digital video class, and she stayed up one night, which is not uncommon in my video classes when the students are really feeling it with the editing. They're like, hey, I was up till 6 a.m. I was up till 3 a.m. I was working on editing my video all night long, and then I couldn't stop watching it. They're trying to watch it in class. They're feeling it. They're into it. Like the video stuff is pippity popping. But she made a claymation video in my first term that was like a Halloween type video. And she made these little clay figures out of modeling clay. She came up with this awesome story. It won first prize at the district art show, and then it went on to like the county level. I don't know what happened I don't think she won the county level, but yeah, that was really cool, and she started coming up with that on her own. These students, I want to give them the tools, Jeremy. I want to teach them how to edit. I want to teach them how to make the ceramics so that it doesn't fall apart, so it won't blow up in the kiln, ideally. And then from there, I give them those tools, and then I talk to them about what they're doing, and I want to encourage their creativity. And we've been having some really cool stuff coming through.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible. And as you were mentioning that too, it had me kind of thinking about just how the level of focus that can happen when a student, like you mentioned, is just so engaged in the art piece they're working on, whether it's a digital art, or whether it's a song, or whether it's a sculpture, right? It's amazing.
Super focus, super focus. They have superpowers, and that's I honestly I kind of think of myself a bit like Dr. Xavier from the X-Men. Like I'm a mutant. I'm good at being a mutant. I'm going to teach them how to use their powers. They have special abilities. Each
Uh-huh.
one of them has something special. How do we
I love
find
it.
that? How do we figure that out? You know, how do we give them, and that's where that super classroom that you're talking about, where, you know, they can first, they have to kind of figure out what it is, you know, and then they keep learning about what their abilities are, you know, and then we give them the tools that they need. We point them in those right directions.
We have more with John Klaiber coming up, but first, it's time for the Educator Spotlight. And we're honored to shine a light on an incredible professional whose commitment to student well-being goes beyond the call of duty. Please join me in celebrating Shelley Combe, a school psychologist whose dedication to her students is nothing short of inspiring. This year, Shelley, her outstanding efforts were rightfully recognized as she was named the Support Service Educator of the Year in her district. A well-deserved accolade for someone who invests so much heart and expertise into her work. But what truly sets Shelley apart is her innovative approach to mental health support and to her students. She integrates creative aspects of working with students, helping students to not only cope with day-to-day stressors, but to also thrive in their academic and personal lives. If you know an educator, again, that should be spotlighted on the show, go to theedtalk.com to share their story, and they might be featured on the show. Congratulations again, Shelley, and thank you for your incredible dedication to bettering the lives of students. You remind us all of the profound impact supportive educators can have on the next generation. Thank you, Shelley. John, first question. All right. This is a fun question. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. If you could design the perfect art classroom for high school students, what would it include and why?
You know, it would probably be exactly what you just described. It would have everything, you know, the students, if they're inclined to go towards the sculpture, if they want to be working with the swoosh swoosh of the paintings, they're interested in making their video projects, they want to dance, have interpretive dances created by musicians. I also think that, I mean, ideally, you know, maybe there could be like open doors or glass sliding doors that goes between these areas, and also scientific work going on. People who are working with mathematical equations. Like I do feel like there's a majesty within the massivity of all of it. In the college world, I noticed that it's definitely like, you know, you're over here, you know, you are over here, these are pods, and you maybe see these people, you know, like when you go get lunch and you have like 5 minutes to breathe for a minute. I noticed that high school is quite a bit different. There seems to be much more of a like interweaving and kind of friendly thing that goes on there. More like a team type thing. But I think, you know, the best classroom is always the classroom that offers the students everything that they need, and then gives them the opportunities to grow, not just in the directions that they want to grow, they think they should grow. Like especially in high school, these kids, they half the time they have never touched clay or painted anything or even done anything with video other than just passively watching it. So you know, and there's so much that we can do, and we're getting the opportunity to do, just with the, I mean, staggering amount of materials that we have for them. We have the computer programs now are just incredible. So I don't know if that answers your question. Like
Yeah.
I want to keep the students most, just as much as they possibly can, to do as much as they possibly can, and you know, lighten up their creative juices and let them flow and learn in those ways.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, you kind of got me thinking with what you were mentioning there too. You know, it doesn't just have to be a designated art class. I mean, this can be done in you know, cross-curricular, multiple disciplines. You know, giving students the opportunity to express themselves in the content, whether it be history or English language arts or you name the subject, to have the opportunity to select their own medium to demonstrate their knowledge of the content, right? So say it's a history class, giving students the opportunity to take maybe and make a video, or to create a sculpted piece, or to do a drawing or a sketch or whatever. It gives students an opportunity to really, it's really more student centered, wouldn't you say?
Certain people's brains work in certain ways, so having that opportunity to make the video or draw a drawing to express, like, there's things, and I think, Jeremy, too, like, we need all those parts. We need there's a lot of different pieces of the puzzle, and when we, like you said, you don't allow a certain part to be expressed, or if they don't have, like, imagine if there was a school where they didn't have a math department. It would, that would, people can't think of that, and so but I think that the creative arts help people to open up things in their minds in different ways, which will also help those other things.
Yeah, certainly. Good point there. And it kind of had me thinking about Howard Gardner and his ideas about different learning styles, right? Kinesthetic. I mean, you name it, all the different learning styles. There's so many. But and it kind of got me thinking too, what you were mentioning there, in creating that perfect classroom, that artistic classroom. What about having a focus on a blend of traditional and modern techniques? So you're taking the fine arts, and then you're incorporating the new modern technology, and again modern techniques, because for number one, it's important. I think you'd probably agree with this, to have a foundation in the classical methods like drawing and pottery, but also to integrate digital art too, video production into this class. It could really expand basically the boundaries and really prepare students even more for the future.
Yes, absolutely. I think you have a great point. I mean, especially because the way that I see it, and I mean, I'm teaching an intro to digital communications. Primarily, I mean, a huge amount of it is video based. I love making video. I love movies, all this stuff, and but it's like, when you look at careers in art, hands down, the digital art fields are, I mean, just blasting out of the water. You can, you don't even have to have a college degree if you can do, like, we had a speaker come to our my colleague Mr. Winchettle's room, and she spoke to my class, my intro class, his intro, and his advanced classes, about the types of stuff that her business does, which is a graphic design business. And she's like, I don't even need you to have a college degree. If you understand how to do these things, and the things that, I mean, they could get a job. We're doing the CTE program, the Career Technical Education. These kids are learning things that they can go, if they want to go to college, they can have a job that's getting them maybe $60 an hour,
Wow.
Something like that. But there's a lot of stuff that's happening like that nowadays that maybe definitely wasn't happening when I was in high school. These students have access. I mean, you know how it is, Jeremy. The video editing stuff that these guys have. I mean, this and the phone. I mean, it's a huge problem on campus. It's like one of the biggest problems on campus. Students on their phones, and at the same time, these phones are capable of. They're more powerful than the computers that sent us to the moon in the '60s. It's
That's
sitting
amazing.
in
Yeah.
the technology is just staggering. I don't even know half the stuff that these kids are able to do right now, and like, let alone in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, what's going to happen.
Well, it's that time of the show, folks, where we go over the education showcase of resources. And so we're going to cover the education showcase of resources, where we have a curated list of websites, books, tools, software, educational materials related to the topic of the show. And the first resource I want to share with everyone is Khan Academy. there is an art history basics section of Khan Academy that offers a comprehensive free course on art history basics. It's perfect for educators looking to integrate a cultural perspective into their curriculum. Again, Khan Academy Art History, check it out. The Metropolitan Museum of Arts, Metropolitan Museum of Arts, hashtag Met Kids, check that out. They have created for, with, and by kids. It's an interactive website that lets young students explore the Met's collection through kid-friendly map and fun facts. Again, Met Kids, check that out. Last one I'll go over with you real quick. Actually, I'm going to go over two more. Smithsonian Learning Lab. They offer free access to millions of digital resources from across the Smithsonian's museums, research centers, libraries, archives, and more. And really, it's ideal for integrating art with other subjects too. Again, Smithsonian Learning Lab. Last one I'll share with you real fast to wrap this segment up. Again, National Gallery of Arts. There's an art zone. This resource offers interactive and engaging art making tools and activities for children, which are inspired by works in the gallery's collection. So again, those are the resources we have for you today. Again, a lot of incredible stuff that's out there. So check out those resources. Okay, so we are now moving on to the final remarks portion of the show before we wrap up. Again, our guest is John, and this is a segment where we encourage our guests to share any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or motivational messages with our audience. John, go ahead. You got the final message.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jeremy. And thank you for those wonderful resources too. And thank you again for having me on the show. It's been really cool to discuss these things with you. You know, anytime you can talk with like minds who are working towards these positive goals, it's always a cool thing. I would say the motivational message is just be true to yourself. Find out what it means to be who you really are. Follow your path of what makes you feel the best. Like when you're thinking about a goal, specifically to the students, you know, there's money. That's great. Money is good. You need to have it. But like, if something makes you feel really alive, if something makes you, you know, you're like, wow, this is different than anything I've ever done before. Go down that road. If you're finding talents, especially like at the high school and really at any level, but life gives us these chances, and sometimes you're lucky. It just will keep giving you the chance. Sometimes, you know, you might be like, oh, okay, I could have gone that way. Follow your love, find your love, understand what it means to be alive, and learn what it is to live with an open heart that is, you know, unafraid, and you know, and make as much awesome stuff as you possibly can along the way. Do as many awesome things as you possibly can. Live this life and give the gift that you were born to give. That's it. Thank you.
Hey, beautifully said. Again, you're incredible to have on the show. As we wrap up today's insightful journey, folks, into the vibrant world of art education. Again, I want to thank John for being on the show, for exploring with us why art is indispensable in our classrooms. Now, we've seen how creativity, it's not just a skill, but it's a necessity. It enables students to express themselves, solve problems, to be innovative, and to connect with others on a deeper level. We've heard powerful testimonies and explore practical strategies that underscore the critical role of art in shaping flexible, resilient, and empathetic thinkers. If today's conversation inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with friends, with colleagues, with anyone who believes in the transformative power of education and art education. And make sure to join us for the next episode of the Ed Talk, where we'll dive into another compelling topic. Your engagement and curiosity fuel this show. Together, let's continue to build a future where education is not only about learning and what's known, but also exploring what's possible. Thank you so much to our audience. We can't thank you enough for tuning in. And remember, every conversation here, it's an invitation to imagine, create, inspire. See you next time on the Ed Talk. Have a good day, folks.